Hey everybody, and welcome back to Dreamy Maxi Style. I'm Robin, and we're going to talk Disney transportation. Hey everybody, so as you all know, I just got done having a year of an annual pass, and it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. I do not have my annual pass anymore, as I was able to get a job and I'm working and our living situation has changed and so much has happened in the last year. But after doing this last trip, I really wanted to talk about Disney transportation. I think there's a little bit out there about it, but I really want to talk more and talk about the pluses, the negatives, what is good for your family, things to consider when you're staying at certain resorts. So let's buckle in and kind of talk about Disney transportation over this last year for me. So I'm going to be incredibly honest. This is not the first time I have filmed this video. It's actually the third, and there's a couple of reasons for that. I get through filming the video and I go back and I watch it and I go, oh wait, oh wait, oh wait. And so here's another take, and hopefully I'm going to get you guys all of the amazing information, and let's go ahead and dive in, I guess. So the first thing I want to talk about is the different types of Disney transportation. Now, the most popular Disney transportation is, of course, buses. Buses will get you to and from the parks. They will go park to park, to and from Disney Springs. Pretty much every single resort will have a bus. And you are guaranteed to ride a Disney bus during your stay at Walt Disney World. Now, besides buses, we also have the monorail. We have boats. We have the Skyliner. And we have, yes, your little feets. We can use them even after doing 20,000 steps in a park. There is actually quite a few walking trails to the parks, whether you're at Hollywood Studios, Epcot, or Magic Kingdom. So the final one is the one I kept forgetting to mention, and it's the minivans. Minivans are also a form of transportation at Walt Disney World. Now, they are the only not free transportation at Walt Disney World, and that's something definitely to remember and consider. But we'll talk more about that as we talk about the minivans. So let's start with the big one. Let's start with buses. Let's talk about buses, who has them, and how best to utilize the bus. So buses are the main form of transportation in Walt Disney World. They are made fun by the music that you will hear on them, the pictures that are on the side of them, and the advertisements that are in them, along with the bus drivers, who many of which have an amazing personality and are willing to just completely throw joke after joke and keep your ride entertaining. Jeffrey and I have both come across so many amazing and wonderful bus drivers in our time going to Walt Disney World over the last couple of years, and they are always just so enjoyable. Basically, with the exception of a couple of Disney Springs hotels, buses are your only form of access to Disney Springs. Buses are your only form of access to Animal Kingdom. And bus is your only form of access to a majority of your hotels. Now, if you have a Magic Kingdom hotel, or if you have a Epcot hotel, or even, well, yeah, I guess it would be considered Epcot. Epcot Hollywood Studios hotel, you're going to have multiple forms, right? pretty much your all-stars, it's only bus. Animal Kingdom Lodge, only bus. When you're looking at things like Art of Animation and Pop Century and Caribbean Beach, you have the Skyliner. But pretty much everywhere you go, you're going to have some kind of access via bus. The buses are fun. They come pretty readily, but it's always a good thing to remember that they get very, very crowded at night. If you can stay a little bit later, you'll have a better opportunity to get on a bus with less issue. Or if you even leave a little earlier, you'll have the same. But if you're leaving at park close, if you are leaving right at the end of fireworks, it's going to be a madhouse. If you have a stroller, make sure you fold up that sucker before you get on. If you have a wheelchair, you will be the first to load. The thing I love about the buses is that not only do you have fun music playing, not only do you have characters on the side, there's a lot of buses that are high accessibility for wheelchairs, which I think is amazing. I think it is so good that you can fold up those seats and you can put multiple wheelchairs on there. I think it's great and helps with families to be able to get back to their resorts quicker. For me, there are two places that I like to sit. The first place, back row. Back row of the bus is my favorite. Just shove me in one of those two corners and I'm a happy camper. I have a little bit more space. The other place I like to sit is right behind the driver on either side, where I have that little wall right next to me. That's also kind of a nice thing. Like Jeffrey will sit or Aya will sit, and then the other one will kind of stand in front. It's a little bit of a personal protection space. When we had the kids with us at Walt Disney World, that's what we did. We put my stepdaughter in the chair and we kind of stood up around her, or she and I would sit and my husband would be around us. My son kind of did his own thing, but I think it's always really good to kind of, stand up in front of your party, have one of the adults in front of your party, or I just like standing behind the driver, and that's where some of the fun conversations come from. So buses are not the fastest. They are not the most enjoyable, especially when they are crazily crowded, but they take you to everywhere. They take you to the water parks. They take you to the hotels. And they're always just a little bit of extra fun. So the next form of transportation we're going to talk about is actually the boats. Because believe it or not, after the buses, boats are the next most accessible form of transportation. And I know that seems a little bit weird, but it's incredibly true. And I have to say, I love a boat. I love a boat at Disney because they are just so much fun. You still get the music and the fun of the same as you do on the buses. But with the boats, you get this beautiful lake area around you. So the boats go pretty much from all of the Magic Kingdom resorts. So Wilderness Lodge, Grand Floridian, Polynesian. You actually do even have a boat at the Contemporary, Fort Wilderness as well. So it's really, really amazing the amount of boat transportation. So when you're staying at a Magic Kingdom resort, you have a couple of options of how to get to the park. You can walk, you can do the monorail, you can do the boat. My favorite is the boat. I love the boats. Do they have the highest capacity? No. But are they relaxing? Absolutely. Are they enjoyable? 100%. I so highly recommend boat transportation. It's so much fun, and there are so many different types of boats that you can travel on. The Epcot resorts also offer boats, so you can get a boat from the Yacht and Beach Club, the Boardwalk, the Swan and Dolphin, and you can get the boat to either Epcot or Hollywood Studios. And I love it. I absolutely love it. But I will say, second favorite thing ever is staying at Port Orleans Riverside or French Quarter and taking the boat to Disney Springs. I think this is my favorite. I know I just said the Magic Kingdom boat from like the Poly to Magic Kingdom was, but I really love this boat ride. It is so nice and relaxing whether you are going to Disney Springs or coming back from Disney Springs. It's amazing. I should actually also say that Old Key West and Saratoga Springs also have the boats to Disney Springs, but the boats, I love the boats. I love the boats. They're so wonderful. Definitely an underrated form of transportation, but so super enjoyable. 100% absolutely enjoyable. So I really debated about which one I was going to talk about next, and I'm going to talk about the one that only the crazy people do, and that is walking, because yes, you can walk to the parks. Now, you can walk to Magic Kingdom from pretty much anyone on the monorail loop. So you can walk from the Contemporary, you can walk from the Polynesian or the Grand Floridian. You can also walk to Epcot through the International Gateway from the Swan and Dolphin, Yacht Club, Beach Club, and the Boardwalk. So your two, what I would call the main parks, you have walkable access. Now, all of the Epcot resorts that you can walk to the International Gateway in, you can also walk to Hollywood Studios. It is a little bit farther, but you still have that walkability access, which is so nice because if it's raining, thunder, lightning, you can't be on the boat. Skyliner goes down. If it's raining, do you really want to walk? Not really, but it's an option. And it takes them a lot longer to get the buses up and running. I would suggest this more for Swan and Dolphin, but if you're doing an Epcot day, you don't have an option of a bus to Epcot. You are walking, that's it. So just some things to definitely remember. But I think walking is so underrated when you're looking at these parks because you can do it. And with as much food as you eat in these parks, as I eat in these parks, it's probably the smarter way to go. But definitely not the way everybody ends up going. So walking, always a good idea. So now we're going to talk about the most iconic way to get to the parks, and that is the monorail. So of course the monorail is selective only to Magic Kingdom and Epcot. And it's really only to Epcot if you are going into the TTC. So if you are staying at a monorail resort by Magic Kingdom, then you have to go to the TTC to go to Epcot. Here's what I will say about the monorail. I think it's overhyped. I think you do it once and it's done. I think it's a once and done with going to Epcot because it's so beautiful to go in and wrap around the ball, and I think that's just amazing. But I don't feel like it's the most effective way to get to Magic Kingdom. I don't think it's the most effective way to get from the Contemporary to Magic Kingdom or the Poly or the Grand Floridian. I think it's just really overdone. And the monorail is always super duper crowded and a little bit smelly. A little refurb on those cars would be amazing. We had to do the monorail when we stayed at the Polynesian for the Halloween party a couple years ago. And it was just so not fun. I'm sorry, I misspoke. We had to do the we had extra late hours, extra evening hours at Epcot, and the only way to get back to the Polynesian was the monorail. I'm trying to do this, but I just, it's not my favorite. It's iconic and beautiful, and an originality of Walt's, but it's not my favorite. But it's there, and you should do it once. So I know I kind of said I feel like the boats are my favorite, but let's be honest, my favorite is really the Skyliner. The Skyliner is so much fun. It's so nice. It's such a great way to kick your feet up and see some of the resorts. The Skyliner only goes from Pop Century and Art of Animation to Caribbean Beach. And then at Caribbean Beach, there's a hub where you can either go to Hollywood Studios or you can go towards Epcot. And as you go by Epcot, you have a small station at the Riviera, and then you're on to Epcot. If you're afraid of heights, try it once. Do the short leg to Hollywood Studios to Caribbean Beach and then grab a bus. It's definitely, you gotta try it once. My issue with the Skyliner, as much as I love it, is that it shuts down in any weather. So if there's rain, high winds, thunder and lightning, anything like that, it shuts down. This is my main issue with the Skyliner, which is why it's not higher on my list. But it is so much fun to do, to be able to fly above Caribbean Beach, to see the Riviera as it is intended, to see the boardwalk and come into the International Gateway. It is an absolutely beautiful, wonderful, and amazing form of transportation. And I very much agree with people who say that they should extend the Skyliner. I totally agree with you. But then you have to have more buses on standby for when the Skyliner goes down. But I love the Skyliner. It's just so much fun and so beautiful. And what of you? The entire time you're on it. What of you? Okay, this is it. This is our last form of transportation in Walt Disney World. And yes, we are going to talk about the minivans. Now, a couple of things that you should know about the minivans. They are the only form of transportation in Walt Disney World that will cost you money. The minivans are run through Lyft and through the Lyft app. Now, a couple of things about the minivans. They are not treated like any other Lyft ride. If you get a Lyft or an Uber to a park, they will take you to the TTC. They will take you to the rideshare drop-off. Where minivans, they pick you up front and center, which is a absolutely wonderful trait, and it saves your feet. Even just 1,000 steps or so. I would say or two, and I'm like, how far am I walking? The minivans are very luxurious. The cast members are incredible. They come equipped with not only the ability to charge, some of them have water and snacks, but also they have car seats. They can hold multiple amounts of people. I believe they can hold up to 8. They are expensive. We got a minivan from Epcot to the Polynesian because we did not want to deal with the monorail, and it cost us about $45. And that included what we tipped. That was a couple of years ago. I do know the prices fluctuate. They go up, they go down. If you want to spring for that, do it. It's one of those things I think everybody should do at least once. Because I do think that it shows you a piece of old school Disney. not the price, but the hospitality and the conversation and the being one-on-one with the cast members. And I think that it just shows so many amazing pieces of what it means to be a cast member at Walt Disney World. We truly enjoyed our ride. It was relaxing for the kids. There was plenty of space for my kids. And I mean, I got my 17-year-old who is, at the time was just almost 6 foot. And, my stepdaughter who was about 5 foot at the time. They both had plenty of room apart. Jeffrey and I had plenty of room. And it was just a very nice, relaxing, AC-filled ride. I really think that's the best way to put it. The AC was jamming. And they're fun little cars. They really are. And they can take you to any of the resorts, Disney Springs, and any of the parks. So with that is the transportation of Walt Disney World. I do think that the boats and the Skyliner are my favorite. Buses get you everywhere. Monorail for me is a one and done. Skyliner, I will do day and night. If I am going from Hollywood Studios to Epcot, I will take that Skyliner. I will do it because there's also a Joffrey station at the Skyliner hub at Caribbean Beach that you got to hit up. There's tons of options of how to get from park to park, and from hotel to park. If doing different transportations is something that you want to do on your trip, make sure you're really looking into that and researching that when you book your hotel. Because if you're doing a value resort, with the exception of Pop Century and Art of Animation, you're going to do buses. A lot of the moderates are buses. As of right now, when you look at value resorts, you have the 3 All-Stars, Pop Century, and for some reason, Art of Animation is still considered a value resort, even though it's suites and it's not value. The Little Mermaid rooms are, but that's it. Those are your value, and Art of Animation and Pop Century are the only ones that give you a second form of transportation. If you also have Fort Wilderness, which is the campgrounds, and you're hugely in the bus loop. You do have an offer of boats there though. And then you go to your moderates. Your moderates are the 2 Riverside hotels, Caribbean Beach, and Coronado Springs. Now, Coronado Springs is the only moderate that only has buses. If you look at the 2 Riverside hotels, you do have boat transportation, but only to Disney Springs. And then, of course, with Caribbean Beach, you have the Skyliner. When you start looking at your deluxe hotels, you're looking at, Yacht and Beach Club, Boardwalk, Polynesian, Grand Floridian, Wilderness Lodge, Contemporary. I'm missing one, I'm sure. These all have multiple options. You've got monorail, you've got boats, and you have buses. Animal Kingdom only has buses, and that is a deluxe resort. And then you have Old Key West and Saratoga Springs, which are mainly DVCs, and they offer bus and boat. And then you have the Riviera, which has Skyliner and buses. It's always good to know what form of transportation you're going to be using, because depending on your form of transportation will depend on how early you need to head to the parks if you are rope dropping. It also will give you a good idea of how late you want to stay in the parks, based upon your transportation, and kind of finding that right spot to maybe not have as much chaos. I love all of it. Like I said, I've got a couple of one and dones. There are some that I would recommend not do if you're afraid of heights or swinging or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I really do think everybody should try every form of transportation, including the one you pay for, because sometimes it's just good to really pamper yourself. And that is a huge way to pamper yourself after a long day in the parks. All right, everybody. Well, that is it for me talking about transportation at Walt Disney World. I am going to say, in regards to Disneyland, the only form of transportation they have is the monorail, and that just gets you from the park near the Disneyland Hotel into Tomorrowland. Everything else, you're walking. There's no major transportation. There's no need for it. It's so much closer. And I did just want to shout that out, because sometimes people do Disneyland and they don't expect Disney World. Or they do Disney World and they're like, well, wait, how do I get here and here? You're walking. But everything is super close there. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. What's your favorite form of transportation at Walt Disney World? What's your favorite character on a bus? These are the little things that we can hold on to when we're not there. But also good pieces of information to share, because not everybody expects the chaos of the bus with trying to get on and folding up the strollers and keeping your family together, and being prepared that you might have to stand on the bus ride to or from the park. And when you have little ones, that makes it extra hard. And I will also just put out a little bit of a note there that if you can stand and give a child or an elderly person your seat, I highly encourage you to show kindness and grace. You're on vacation, but so are they. Everybody's health is different. And even just the offer of kindness sometimes is incredibly appreciated. Be kind to one another. It's the holiday season, so wishing everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays and a Happy New Year, and hope you are all having a wonderful day and that this brings a little bit of joy to your day. Keep dreaming. Bye.